I want to tell you about a man who had it all. I want to tell you about a man who had it all, and yet having it all was not enough to keep him from throwing it all away. You see, there was this man, he was a great warrior. In addition to being a great warrior, he was a great king. In addition to being a great warrior and a great king, he was anointed by God in his position. But that wasn't enough. You see, though he had everything, though he had it all, he wasn't satisfied. The Bible tells us in 2 Samuel chapter 11 that it was the time when the kings went out to war. And David decided to stay home. And staying home one night, he decided to go up on his roof and take a walk. And while he was on his roof, looking around, he noticed a woman bathing, and she was beautiful. And he sent for her. And when she was brought to him, he lied with her. He committed adultery with her. You see, Bathsheba was married. Not only was she married to one of David's men, Uriah. As a result of their relationship together, Bathsheba became pregnant with David's child. David had a choice. At this point, David could choose to confess what he had done, ask for Uriah's forgiveness, ask for the forgiveness of the Lord, and understand that God would grant that to him, and hopefully Uriah would grant that to him as well, and then maybe they could move on with their life. But instead, David chose to try to cover it up. And he did that in several different ways, and when those ways didn't work, David had Uriah killed in battle. This was one of his men. After David had Uriah killed in battle, he continued the lie. He continued to hide what he had done. He took Bathsheba as his wife. You see, David thought he had gotten away with it. David thought, okay, I'm good now. I'm the king. I'm going to retain my power. I'm going to retain my level of prestige. I'm going to retain my position, and nobody will know anything different. You see, the problem was David had thrown it all away. God had blessed David greatly. And when Nathan the prophet came to David and exposed David and helped him understand that God knew about his sin, David was crushed. Nathan told David, God has given you everything. And if you would have asked, he would have given you even more. You see, it seems like David had blown it. It seems like David's life, his spiritual life, was over. Upon hearing Nathan's words, David said, I have sinned against the Lord. For the first time, David acknowledged what he had done. For the first time, David took some responsibility for what it is that he has done. The question is, what next? You know, in today's society, when some of our politicians or our people of power, when they make mistakes, it seems like we're quick to rush to them and destroy them. David's life seemed to be over. You know, David was going to have consequences for his actions. He was going to have to pay for the remainder of his life. Nathan told David, the sword will not depart from your house. From that point forward, David's life was very difficult. But the fact of the matter is this: God wasn't done with David yet. David still had purpose. David still had ability. David still had a future, spiritually speaking. God wasn't through with him. In Psalm 51, we see David, he turned away from his sin. He repented of that. He begged of God's forgiveness. He asked God to purge him, to cleanse him, to create in him a new heart. David wanted to be right with God. Far too often I've sat across from people and had them say, you know, I've done too many bad things to become a Christian. God can never forgive me. God can never look past what I've done. God can never give me another chance. Well, the fact of the matter is this: no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, God still loves you and he wants you to come back. You're not far enough away where God can't reach you. But you have to make the decision, as David did, to turn away from those things. I even want to encourage you with this. You're not the worst sinner that's ever lived. The Apostle Paul said, he was the chief sinner. So you don't get to hold that title. I don't know where you are in your life. You might be a Christian who's walked away and maybe turned away from God, and you know that things aren't right, and you're feeling guilty and you're feeling bad about those things, and you don't think God can ever forgive you. I want to encourage you to let you know that God can and will and wants to forgive you and welcome you home. If you're not a Christian, I want to tell you need to become one. You're not far enough away from God that he can't reach you if you're willing to reach him. Yes, you've got things in your life you got to fix. And you can work on that, and you can ask for God's forgiveness of that. And you can follow the plan of salvation. I'd love to talk to you about that more. If you want to know what it is to become a Christian, I want to encourage you to contact me. And I'd love to study with you and help you through that. It wasn't too late for David. God wasn't finished with him yet. It wasn't too late for Saul before he became the Apostle Paul. God wasn't finished with him yet. And it's not too late for you, no matter where you are in your spiritual life. I want to encourage you to understand that God is not finished with you yet. You can do it. With God's help, you can turn away from your sins, and you can be whole with him again. God's not finished with you, so don't you give up on you. Have a great day.